One-on-one meetings between managers and their direct reports are absolutely critical and have a big impact on productivity. I always like to start by saying what it isn't, which is it's not a check-in meeting on work progress. That would just be another meeting on everybody's books. They're just checking the box. It's just kind of a get the job done, get the motion done. There's not that clarity or direction or a goal around outcomes. Like, what are you trying to do? The way I like to explain it to an HR leader is in the form of an analogy and saying that imagine a situation where you've packed the car for a trip and you're taking your friend somewhere and you've got the playlist loaded, everything's all exciting, ready to go, and you never looked at a map, right? And you actually don't have a clear path to where you're actually trying to go. So if we talk about goals and alignment, we're talking about it at the higher level. If you're the manager and you're the leader, you've established goals, whether that's on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis or some frequency of what the department and what employees are supposed to be doing. And the individuals have mapped to those and determined what they're going to do. And there has to be that linkage and conversation. First and foremost would be enhancing your communication and your alignment and between the two people, and then of course across the organization. The manager's role in part is to connect all of those dots for the employee and making sure the employee sees their pathways to accomplishing great things for the organization while continuing to grow. The second part is really important, which I think we lose a lot of, which is the listening part of it. Having somebody that can be a sounding board and then being the manager that can provide positive feedback and reassurance and how the person might be able to troubleshoot their own situations is an incredibly empowering moment in an employee's day. And managers should not forget that role that they have there. And I think that leads to the third thing I would just bring up, that you're building a stronger relationship between managers and employees, and trust has to be at the center of that relationship, because when that happens, that's when people can do much more meaningful work together, right? Then if you trust the person, you'll go the extra mile. A really interesting stat from our recent State of Performance Enablement report, where we study the workforce, that managers reported that 23% of them are actually having fewer and fewer one-on-ones because they feel so uncomfortable even going into them. I think it's actually usually pretty obvious if you're on the inside of a company, and you can read the tea leaves when you look at how leadership behaves. The first thing is, do leaders in the organization hold one-on-ones, and do they hold them valuable? And is there a consistent process that they execute? If they don't, you automatically know that the process is not working for the managers, because the only way to a pathway of success around healthy one-on-ones in a consistent level would be that the leadership models the way and shows how it's done. And then the second barometer, of course, is there a well-documented process? Is there training, and is there the technology to automate and improve that process? Without those things, it's not going to work. And I think we all hear about it in the media quite a bit, this concept of breadcrumbing. And the idea is this, the story of Hansel and Gretel, where we have, breadcrumbs. And the idea there is that, and it's an unfortunate thing, that managers will make empty promises, and you just keep the employee engaged enough that they don't want to resign. Empty promises around, career progression or development plans. And I think that really goes back to the heart of what I was talking about. It's not the manager's fault more often than not. It's the lack of training and infrastructure around them. They don't even know what they can offer. First and foremost is the single toughest thing, which is preparation. Everybody's busy and everybody's overbooked in their calendars. And it's the hardest thing to imagine that you have to prepare for a one-on-one. You're already walking into it probably going, oh my gosh, like what are we going to talk about? And so the idea that it has to be considered is that the manager goes in understanding the employee's goals, what they're actually working on, if there should be any visible signs of challenge, like bottlenecks or problems that employee is facing, any feedback that employee's been getting or recognition recently is a very valuable piece of input, so they can talk to them about that. And so when the manager has to construct that entire picture, it takes time. And if the manager is not enabled and not given the tools to do that, it makes it really, really challenging to be prepared when you walk in. And I think the other one is this point around trust building. It's absolutely critical that there's a level of confidence between the manager and the employee. Has to be a safe space for the conversation to progress in a meaningful way. The employee has to trust that the manager isn't going to just act against things that are said, and that they are going to productively discuss what could be done. The manager needs to be very clear if they think they do need to communicate something outside of the two of them. And I think those are all very big trust building components. And then the very last part of it, of course, is the manager absolutely has to be able to follow up and follow through on commitments. And that's sort of the breadcrumbing problem that I talked about before. If you say, oh yeah, you're going to be able to get a promotion in a year, or, here I see your path to promotion, or here's some educational courses you can take. It's on the manager to find the pathway there and help the employee get there. It's not just the meeting and the conversation. HR leaders are the center of a successful strategy. It's HR's role to prioritize leadership, to model the way with them. Leadership will not snap into a process or do something consistent or evangelize how to do something if HR isn't there telling them what that is and making it a priority for them and making it an expectation by the CEO of the organization. I think that's the first thing. The second one, of course, is the process design, and understanding what it means to have frequent and continuous conversations and check-ins with your employees. And in today's era, technology is so central to that. And now with the use of AI, it's even much more incredible, right? AI will be able to infuse so many intelligent ways in which you coach the manager into being better at what they're doing, as well as help the employee. And really, really help the manager and employee focus on what really counts, which is the trust building and that valuable one-to-one conversation that they're having, that there's that human connection, and there's somebody that's concerned about you and is there for you when things get tough, or is there to pat you on the back when things go really, really well.